In the forefront of existence, where the ephemeral merges with the eternal, lies a mysterious truth, a millennia-old secret guarded in the folds of time and passed down through the whispers of distant civilizations. Humanity, this prodigy of complexity and untapped potential, has always sought a universal key, a master key capable of unlocking the portals to a richer reality aligned with our deepest desires. The prevailing narrative has led us to believe that power lies in the exterior, in the convoluted lucubrations of the rational mind, or in the exhausting repetitions of statements devoid of authentic resonance. In any case, a bold hypothesis emerges forcefully, a revelation that challenges convention and invites us to turn our gaze inward, toward the incessant and primordial rhythm of our breathing. This is not mere philosophical speculation, but a concrete technique, a true inner alchemy that, in a surprisingly short space of time, aims to reprogram the very fabric of our reality. The promise is mastery over one's own existence, a mastery that transcends mere hope to tap into the certainty of manifestation, since destiny is forged in the conscious application of knowledge. If these words have touched your inner truth and you feel the urge to expand your awareness, please show your approval now with a like. It's a simple but decisive gesture, a sign of our resonance, and a driving force that allows us to continue our research and offer valuable content. And if you'd like to support us in a concrete way, consider subscribing to the channel. More than a click, it's a choice that fuels our mission, builds bridges of knowledge, and keeps this space for shared growth alive. The cardinal error that often afflicts individuals in their perpetual quest to shape their own reality lies in their insistence on operating exclusively through rational faculties. The mind, though an instrument of immeasurable value, becomes an insurmountable obstacle when it attempts to force open the doors to a dimension that obeys different, more subtle and arcane laws. The key, in fact, is not hidden in compulsive thinking, but rather in the intrinsic rhythm of breathing. There is a specific breathing rhythm, a sort of biological access code, that has the power to deactivate the mind's critical censorship and open a direct gateway to the quantum field, that primordial matrix from which all manifestation originates. Ancient civilizations, particularly the Egyptians, under the enlightened guidance of Thoth, the architect of reality, were custodians of this secret. They called it Gateway 111, recognizing it not as a mere meditation technique, but as a true instrument of inner sovereignty. This knowledge, far from being a modern discovery, has its roots in millennia of observation and experimentation, jealously guarded and passed down only to the initiated, since its power was such that it could subvert any system of external control. Human beings, in their intrinsic magnificence, are a true miracle, an entity worthy of veneration and profound reverence, possessing the innate ability to freely transit between different dimensions. With their minds, they can pierce the most distant heavens, and with their breaths, they can descend into the most hidden depths of the earth, exploring the fullness of their potential. Imagine for a moment that within your psyche resides a vault, a strong room that holds the key to unlocking the reality you desire. Not as an illusory chimera, but as a tangible and immediately accessible experience. Most individuals, however, spend their entire lives unaware of the very existence of this treasure chest. They wander in a corridor of mirrors that reflect only what they already know, trapped in a cycle of vain efforts and mounting frustrations. They try every avenue: positive thinking, meticulously assembled vision boards, affirmations repeated until exhaustion. But none of these practices, if separated from profound knowledge, produce the promised results, instead fueling an even thicker layer of disbelief and conformism. The fundamental error lies in the approach. You try to force the vault open from the outside, employing sheer willpower, compelling logic, and superficial desire. You cultivate the belief that, if you think hard enough, the universe will bend to your will. But the underlying truth is that the universe doesn't respond to coercion. It responds to frequency. The vault isn't opened with a hammer, but with a key, and that key isn't a thought, nor a magic word, nor a complicated ritual. It's something we perform moment by moment, every day, but unconsciously and uncontrollably: breathing. The secret combination is a breathing pattern, a specific rhythmic sequence that acts like a biological master key, a direct access code to our internal operating system. Imagine a password you never knew you possessed, capable of bypassing the gatekeeper of the conscious mind, the one who incessantly doubts, criticizes, and sabotages. This key allows direct access to the subconscious, the place where your reality is authentically programmed and constructed, and the most amazing part is that this access can be established in less than 7 minutes. This combination, however, is not a discovery of our time. It has been jealously guarded for millennia, carefully guarded in ancient texts that few have had the honor of consulting, and whispered exclusively among initiates in remote monasteries, far from the eyes of the profane world. They knew that this knowledge was too powerful to be entrusted to anyone, not because it was intrinsically evil, but because it restores the individual to the fullness of their own power, rendering any system of external control obsolete. The ability to shape one's own reality is true freedom, the definitive emancipation from every yoke. So why hide such a truth? The answer is both simple and profoundly disturbing. An individual who masters their own internal reality cannot be easily manipulated. They are no longer merely passive consumers of prepackaged ideas, induced fears, or superfluous products. They become a conscious creator, a master of their own destiny. Keeping this key secret ensures that most of humanity remains on the hamster wheel, chasing happiness outside of itself, perpetually dependent on something or someone else. The system, by its very nature, requires the individual to believe that power resides externally, not in the sacred act of breathing. But what they didn't foresee is that knowledge, like water that always finds a way to filter through, would inevitably resurface. And the path to rediscovering this key leads not only to isolated, snow-capped peaks, but to a far more ancient place, a land of sand and pyramids, where the secret of breathing was first meticulously documented. The reason this technique has been so zealously guarded for so long is far more shocking than one might imagine, involving mysteries buried in the sands of time. In 1921, a British archaeological expedition, led by an officer fascinated by Eastern legends, ventured into the inscrutable Himalayas. They were not seeking fame or fortune, but knowledge that, according to legend, could alter human perception of reality. After weeks of a grueling and dangerous journey, they discovered an isolated monastery, almost forgotten by time, carved into the rock like an eagle's nest, a bastion of ancestral wisdom. Inside, they found no gold, jewels, or the artifacts that typically filled European museums. What the monks showed them was something infinitely more precious and, at the same time, immeasurably more dangerous. Ancient scrolls, made from a material never before seen by archaeologists, containing detailed descriptions of a breathing technique. It was not a simple meditative practice, but a veritable instruction manual for consciousness, a precise method for reprogramming neural circuits and accessing states that Western science considered impossible to achieve. The discovery was so groundbreaking that the expedition's reports were immediately classified as secret by the British government. The information was deemed dangerous by the power structures of the time. Why? Because the monks considered the technique not a mere spiritual exercise, but an instrument of inalienable sovereignty. They called it the portal, because they knew that a people master of their own internal reality, capable of controlling their emotional and mental states, could not be controlled externally by fear, propaganda, or scarcity. The freedom this technique offered was a direct threat to any system built on control and manipulation. This practice was, in its deepest essence, a form of ancestral bioengineering. The monks, millennia before the discoveries of modern neuroscience, understood that breathing served as an interface between body and mind, between the tangible and the intangible. They knew how to use specific breathing rhythms to induce states of heightened brain coherence, moments in which the manifestation of an intention was no longer an act of hope, but an unavoidable physical consequence. They could, literally, breathe a new reality into existence. And this was a power that the Western world was not yet ready to accept and, perhaps, deeply feared. What the British explorers, and even the monks themselves, may not have fully understood is that this knowledge did not originate in the mountains of Tibet. Those scrolls were, in fact, a copy, the legacy of a far more ancient wisdom that had spanned cultures and centuries, evolving and adapting. The true genesis of this technique came from a place most people associate with pyramids and pharaohs, not with elevated states of consciousness: ancient Egypt. And it was directly connected to a mythical figure, an entity the Egyptians considered the true architect of reality. Not a pharaoh or a general, but a god who embodied the mastery of wisdom, writing, magic, and, crucially, the secrets of life and death. He was the guardian of a knowledge that allowed humanity to transcend its mortal condition and become a conscious creator. And the name of this architect of reality still resonates in history today, holding the key to understanding how a simple breath can, in fact, alter the very fabric of the universe. The connection to Thoth, the architect of reality, is inescapable. The technique so jealously guarded by Tibetan monks was, in fact, a fragment of a much older and deeper knowledge, attributed to Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. Thoth was not a mere deity to be worshipped. He was considered the master of divine knowledge, the scribe of the gods, the one who understood the fundamental laws governing the cosmos and consciousness. Thoth, who would later be syncretized by the Greeks and known as Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, was the author of one of the most powerful principles ever enunciated: the universe is mental. This is not a poetic phrase, but a literal statement about the intrinsic nature of reality. It means that the world we perceive as solid and external is, in its deepest essence, a projection of the mind. But how can such a broad concept be applied in practice? How can we use this truth to stop being passive spectators and finally become active creators? Thoth's answer was left in a legendary text, far less well known than the Emerald Tablet, yet perhaps even more practical: the Book of Breathings. In this work, breathing is not described as the mere mechanical process of inhaling and exhaling air to sustain the body. Thoth depicted it as the vehicle of intention itself, the sacred and direct bridge connecting the conscious mind with the primordial matter of the universe. Every inhalation is an absorption of pure potential, and every exhalation is an imprint of your will on the quantum field, an affirmation of your creative capacity. The technique the monks guarded was, therefore, the practical and direct application of this hermetic principle. It was a method for aligning the frequency of the individual mind with the frequency of the universal mind through a specific, almost mathematical breathing pattern. It is not a matter of asking something from the universe, as if it were a separate entity, a child asking for a gift from its parents. It is a process of merging, of becoming, the universe itself into a state of coherence where your intention and the will of the cosmos become one, indistinguishable. The apparent simplicity of this technique belies an uncanny precision. It's not about taking random deep breaths, but rather following a rhythm, a cadence that functions like a radio frequency. By tuning into this specific frequency, you open a direct channel of communication with your subconscious and the field of infinite possibilities. You stop operating from a logical and limited mind and begin to operate from a state of pure potential, where you no longer need to struggle with reality, because you become the force that shapes it. And the key to making all this work, the secret that connects the ancient wisdom of Thoth with the latest scientific discoveries, lies in the way this specific breathing pattern can literally hack your brain's operating system. It acts like a master control, granting you access to functions of your own biological system that you were previously unaware of. And by activating these functions, you gain the ability to press a reset button in your own mind, an opportunity to start from a new foundation. Your breathing isn't just a biological process. It's the most powerful remote control you have for your nervous system. Most people live on autopilot, breathing shallowly and quickly, keeping the brain in a constant state of low-level alert, or survival mode. In this state, you simply react, fight, or flee. There's no room to create, innovate, or manifest something new. You're simply trying to survive the next moment. When you breathe in a specific, controlled way, as taught in ancient texts, you send direct electrical signals through the vagus nerve, the primary communication pathway between the brain and the body. This signaling instantly changes brain chemistry, forcing the system out of survival mode, dominated by the sympathetic nervous system, and into creation and repair mode, governed by the parasympathetic nervous system. It's like turning off the fire alarm so you can finally listen to music. Cutting-edge neuroscience studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, confirm what the ancients already knew. Certain rhythmic breathing techniques can increase the production and synchronization of gamma brain waves by up to 700%. Gamma waves are the brain's fastest frequency pattern, associated with moments of profound insight, expanded awareness, and ultra-fast information processing. It's the state your brain enters when you have a sudden insight, a eureka moment, when it connects ideas in new and powerful ways. It's the brain state of genius. Imagine finding a hidden reset button in your brain, a switch that, when pressed, temporarily mutes the constant noise of your analytical mind, that inner voice that whispers, "This is impossible. You can't do this. This isn't for you." At the same time, this button activates the part of your brain that simply creates, that operates from intuition and pure potential, free from the shackles of limiting beliefs and past experiences. You are no longer trapped by your history. You are free to write a new future. The technique we are about to reveal doesn't just push that button momentarily. It holds it down for exactly the time needed for a new program to be permanently installed. It allows you to deliberately access your subconscious, rewriting the core beliefs that govern your life. You cease to be an effect of your past programming and become the cause of your present and future reality. Your life stops happening by chance and begins to happen by design. And all of this neurological and quantum transformation begins with a three-step sequence, three simple yet incredibly precise steps that form a code. A code that, when executed in the correct order, opens the doors of perception and allows you to access the power of manifestation that has always been dormant within you. The three steps of Gateway 111. The first phase of this code is activation, the moment when the engine of creation ignites. The technique is a three-part code, a precise sequence that works as a combination to unlock your deepest potential. Each phase has a specific biological and energetic purpose, and the magic happens in the transition between them. The first phase is activation. You begin with a deep, controlled inhalation through the nose, counting to exactly 4 seconds. This act is not passive. It is a deliberate command to your body, activating the sympathetic nervous system. It is like starting the engine of a high-performance car, preparing your system for powerful action. The second phase is integration. Immediately after inhaling, you begin to slowly exhale through the mouth for exactly 8 seconds, double the duration of the inhalation. This prolonged exhalation is the key to activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. It sends a powerful signal of safety and control to your brain, which responds by flooding your system with GABA, the master inhibitory neurotransmitter. The result is a unique state of relaxed alertness. You are fully present and in control, yet free from anxiety and mental noise. The third and most crucial phase is the quantum void. After a full exhalation, hold your lungs empty, without air, for 2 seconds. This brief interval is the best-kept secret of monks and ancient sages. In this void, this moment of total suspension, your brainwaves naturally descend into theta frequencies. The theta state is the gateway to the subconscious, the state of deep meditation, hypnosis, and lucid dreaming. It is the moment when the conscious mind steps aside and your subconscious becomes fully open and programmable. Repeating this 4-8-2 sequence is what initiates the transformation. Each cycle deepens the state of coherence between your heart and brain. The inhalation energizes, the exhalation relaxes, and the void opens. We are literally hacking our very biology to create an ideal state of receptivity, turning off the mind's critical filter and opening a direct line of communication with the part of you that actually creates your reality. Consistent repetition is what creates momentum. But it's not just the repetition that matters. It's the intention behind it. During each cycle, your focus is not on problems or what's missing, but on the sensation of the reality you wish to create. You're not asking, you're feeling. You're tuning your vibration to the vibration of your already fulfilled desire. With every breath, you're teaching your body and mind what it feels like to already have what you seek. You're rebuilding a new memory of the future. However, the real magic, The turning point where the impossible becomes possible doesn't occur on the 1st or 10th cycle. There's a specific number of repetitions, a neurological threshold that, once crossed, triggers a cascade of events in the brain that transforms the process from a simple relaxation technique into a true manifestation portal. And that number, kept secret for centuries, is what gives the entire process its name. The question that echoes is, why exactly 111 repetitions? This number was not chosen for mystical or symbolic reasons, but for a purely mathematical and neurological one. The ancient sages, through millennia of inner experimentation, discovered what modern neuroscientists are only now beginning to map. What happens in the brain around the 111th breath cycle is a phenomenon they call cross-frequency coupling. It's a moment of total synchronization. Imagine the different areas of your brain like instruments in an orchestra. Most of the time, they play different melodies, creating a background noise of thoughts, emotions, and worries. During the 4-8-2 breathing practice, these instruments begin to tune in. Around the 111th cycle, something extraordinary happens. All the instruments begin to play the same note, at the same frequency, in perfect harmony. Alpha, theta, beta, and gamma brainwaves, which normally operate in separate channels, synchronize and amplify each other, creating a coherent and powerful wave of energy. It is at this peak of coherence, the 111th breath, that your default mode network temporarily deactivates. This is the part of the brain responsible for creating your sense of self, your ego, your memories, your limiting beliefs, and your personal history. It is the voice that weaves the narrative of who you are based on everything that has happened to you. When this network quiets, you experience a moment of pure existence, free from the burden of the past and the anxiety of the future. You are no longer your story. In this precious instant, you are no longer thinking about a new reality. You are breathing it and becoming it. The separation between you and what you desire disappears. Duality collapses. You and your intention merge into a single vibrational frequency. It is a complete neurological reset, a reboot of your internal operating system. You stop being the story you tell yourself every day and become pure potential, a blank canvas ready to be filled with new programming. And this shift isn't just a fleeting sensation or an abstract mental experience. The transformation descends to the most fundamental level of your being, to your biological code. The energy and information generated by this state of supercoherence begin to interact with your body in a way that modern science is only now beginning to understand. The new programming doesn't just remain in your mind. It's sent to every single one of the trillions of cells in your body. This wave of coherence reaches the nucleus of your cells, where your DNA resides. You're not just changing your thoughts. You're literally sending new instructions to your body. You're telling it to operate from a new blueprint, a new design. And this shift, which begins with a simple breath, has the power to rewrite your genetic expression in real time, transforming not only how you feel, but who you fundamentally are in every fiber of your being. The 7-minute technique that manifests everything. This shift, which begins as a simple breath, has the power to rewrite your genetic expression in real time. Now, let's put all the pieces together and reveal the complete mechanism. The 7 minutes is not a symbolic or arbitrary amount of time. It's the exact neurological time the brain needs to complete 111 breath cycles in the 4-8-2 rhythm. A full cycle takes approximately 14 seconds, but practice accelerates the process. Pace yourself at about 4 seconds per complete cycle of inhale, pause, exhale, pause. And, most importantly, to stabilize the new brain chemistry that enables manifestation, the turning point is the moment when the change becomes irreversible, a true reprogramming. Here is the complete technique, the roadmap to opening the inner portal, a journey to self-mastery. First, find a place where you won't be interrupted, a sanctuary of peace and concentration. Sit comfortably with your spine erect, allowing your energy to flow freely and unimpeded. Close your eyes and set a clear, concise intention. Don't ask, don't beg. Simply decide what you wish to manifest and feel the thrill of having already accomplished it. Feel the gratitude, joy, and inner peace, and anchor that emotion in your heart. This is your destination, the goal toward which your energy will be directed with surgical precision. Now begin to breathe. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, feeling the life force energy filling your lungs with every fiber. Exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds, releasing all tension, doubt, and resistance that holds you back. Hold the void, without air, for 2 seconds, entering the space of pure potentiality, an infinity of possibilities. Repeat this cycle over and over. Your sole focus should be the rhythm of your breathing and the sensation of the reality already being created within you. If your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to the counting and the emotion. Continue this process for 111 cycles. Don't worry about counting perfectly. Your intention and your body will know when the threshold has been reached, as the body is a wise guardian. During these 7 minutes, you are building a coherent wave of energy. Your heart rate will synchronize with your brain waves. Your cells will begin to vibrate in unison with your intention. You are no longer just thinking about your desire. You are becoming a living, pulsating vibrational magnet for it. You are transmitting a clear and powerful signal to the quantum field, an inescapable resonance. At the end of the 7 minutes, having completed the 111th cycle, you will not be the same person who started. You have opened the gateway 111 within. Your brain chemistry has been altered. New neural pathways have been activated. You no longer operate from the frequency of lack or desire, but from the frequency of having and gratitude. You are no longer asking the universe to give you something. You have aligned yourself with the frequency of that thing, and by the law of resonance, the universe has no choice but to provide it. But here's the secret that most people don't understand. The work doesn't end when you open your eyes. In fact, that's when it begins. What happens in the moments, hours, and days following those 7 minutes is what separates those who consistently manifest their desires from those who simply had an interesting experience. The universe will begin testing you to see if you've truly shifted your frequency or if it was just a temporary state. Your reaction to these tests defines everything. By reaching this state of profound coherence, you activate within your own biology the most mysterious and powerful principle of quantum physics, the observer effect. Quantum science shows us that at the subatomic level, particles exist in a state of pure potential, a wave of infinite possibilities, until they are observed. And it is, in fact, the act of observing that collapses the wave, forcing one of those possibilities to become a particle, a real physical experience. You are doing exactly this, but with your life. During the 7 minutes, you are not just observing a possibility with your mind. You are becoming the frequency of that possibility with your entire being. You are actively collapsing the potential wave of your desire into a tangible, physical experience. Cutting-edge research institutions like the Institute of Noetic Sciences have already demonstrated in the laboratory that individuals, in a state of high brain-heart coherence, can influence random number generators, the structure of water, and even the healing rates of cells in other people remotely. This isn't science fiction. It's rigorous, verifiable science. With this technique, you transcend the role of victim of circumstance, a boat adrift on the ocean of life, and assume your rightful position as the architect of your own experience. You stop reacting to the world, and the world begins to react to you. Reality, which once seemed solid and immutable, begins to shape itself to your new internal frequency. This is where so-called coincidences and synchronicities begin to manifest with surprising frequency. You think of someone, and they call you. You need information, and it appears in a book that falls off a shelf. These are not accidents. They are the universe's response to your new vibrational signal. They are the bridges the quantum field is building to lead you from your current state to the physical manifestation of your desire. Opportunities that were previously completely invisible, because you weren't at the frequency to perceive them, are beginning to appear everywhere. The people, resources, and ideas you need for the next step simply appear in your life as if drawn by an invisible magnet. But there is a final secret, a deeper truth, whispered only to the most advanced initiates. The monks knew that achieving a state of coherence was only half the battle. The other half was maintaining it. The outside world, with its chaos, negative news, and distractions, will constantly try to pull you back to your old frequency. Remaining in the role of creator requires a discipline that goes beyond the 7-minute practice. They understood that change was not just an event, but a continuous process of realignment. And for this, they used a tool that transformed the mind from enemy to ally, a tool that allowed the transformation, which occurred at the quantum and invisible level, to manifest even more rapidly and powerfully at the physical level, changing the biological structure of the practitioner himself, reprogramming his DNA in real time. This tool is directly connected to how your body responds to your new instructions. And this goes far beyond psychology or positive thinking. We're talking about a fundamental biological shift. Researchers at renowned institutions like Harvard Medical School have discovered something the ancient sages already knew: that breathing and meditation practices like this one can, in fact, alter the expression of your DNA in a matter of minutes. You're not just changing your mind, you're rewriting your biological instruction manual. In rigorous studies, it's been observed that after a single session of deep, focused breathing, genes linked to inflammation, stress, and cell death are deactivated or downregulated. Meanwhile, genes associated with increased cognitive function, stress resilience, energy metabolism, and cellular regeneration are activated or upregulated. This means you have the power to literally turn off the genes that make you sick and turn on the genes that heal and strengthen you, using nothing more than your breath and your intention, an internal pharmacy. Harvard neuroscientist Dr. Sarah Lazar, using MRI technology, went further. She demonstrated that consistent meditation and mindful breathing practices increase the thickness of the cerebral cortex, especially in areas related to attention, perception, and decision-making. You are physically building a stronger, more focused brain, better able to perceive and create the reality you desire. The Gateway 111 technique simply accelerates this process exponentially, a true shortcut to wellness. Think of each breath cycle as a programming command. Every 4-second inhale is a download of new possibilities, new information, and new energy directly from the quantum field. Every 8-second exhale is the erasure of obsolete programming from your system. Limiting beliefs, painful memories, self-sabotaging patterns. You are clearing and updating your internal operating system with every breath. The change occurs at such a fundamental level that the body has no choice but to follow the new blueprint you have installed. If your new internal programming is one of health, vitality, and abundance, your cells receive that message and begin to operate accordingly. The body is a loyal servant of the mind. It doesn't question the orders it receives, it simply carries them out. The problem is that until now, you've been sending conflicting commands, based on fear and scarcity. But how can you ensure that this new programming becomes your new default state? How can you ensure that this shift isn't just a peak experience, but a permanent transformation in the way you live and exist? The coherence achieved in 7 minutes is powerful, but it must be anchored in your daily life. And for this, the monks developed a final practice, a simple yet ingenious tool to ensure that your new reality not only manifested, but became your only reality. They kept journals, but these were no ordinary journals to record past events. They didn't write about what had happened. They used their journals to anchor the future they were creating. They were manifestation journals, records of the new reality taking shape. After each 7-minute session, at the height of brain coherence and mental clarity, they immediately documented everything that surfaced. They wrote down ideas that seemed to come from nowhere, vivid and meaningful dreams from the previous night, synchronicities and coincidences that occurred throughout the day. No matter how small, they noted subtle shifts in their perception, new sensations, new feelings of peace or trust. They knew that manifestation rarely appears like a bolt from the blue. It begins as a whisper, a tiny shift, a sign that is, in itself, a sign. And the act of recording these signs trains your brain to recognize them. By writing them down, you strengthen the new neural pathways you've begun to build during your practice. You're telling your brain, this is important, pay attention to this. Your reticular activating system, the filter that determines what you perceive in the world, begins to recalibrate. It stops looking for evidence of your old reality of lack and limitation and begins actively seeking signs of your new reality of abundance and possibility. What you focus on expands, And your journal is the tool that directs that focus, a powerful amplifier of your intention. But the final secret, the deepest truth whispered only to the most advanced initiates, was this. The technique was never about obtaining material things. It was never about manifesting a new car, more money, or a romantic relationship. Those things are just props, sideshows in a larger drama. The true purpose of the technique is to become the person who already possesses all of these things. It's about the transformation of your identity, a profound inner metamorphosis. It's about evolving into the version of yourself that naturally lives in the frequency of abundance, radiant health, and unconditional love, an authentic and fully realized version. If you've come this far, it's because something deep within you has recognized the intrinsic truth behind these words, an echo of ancient and universal knowledge that resonates with your most authentic essence. This connection is precious and binds us with an invisible thread of awareness. To seal this shared journey, I invite you to leave a comment below with an affirmation that resonates with your heart and manifests your resolve. Write, for example, I have crossed the portal 111. This way, I will know who has truly walked this path of discovery with me to the end, who has dared to look beyond the veil of the ordinary. And if your desire is to further support this vision and allow the light of this knowledge to reach those who need it most, please share it. Through this simple act, you can help support the creation of content of this magnitude, capable of enriching the soul and awakening minds. Your every gesture of support, however modest it may seem, has an immeasurable impact on me and on the exponential growth of this enlightening project. But let me be clear, the mere fact that you have dedicated your precious time to following this path to the last word is already an immense gift to me, a tangible sign of your involvement and openness. May the light of awareness illuminate your every step, and may your existence unfold in a perfect harmony of abundance, wisdom, and love. With profound gratitude and a wish for infinite splendor, I bid you farewell. See you soon.